digital arena, on the app, on your smartphone, on X, YouTube, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Expect the unexpected.
The Donut Bag presented by The Sportscast.
The Donut Bag, hosted by Joey Bag of Donuts. And here's your host, Joey Bag of Donuts.
What's going on, everybody? It is, August? What is today?
11th.
August 11th. We are in mid-August. Boy, August is flying by like July did. July was gone in like a second.
Yeah, right.
Now August is flying by, but we
Yes.
had something resembling real football. Steelers won their first preseason game 31-25. But before we talk about that, there was a couple things that happened that we have to get to first. One of them was Cam Heyward, and there's news that Cam Heyward and Chris Boswell want new contracts. Cam Heyward just signed a contract extension last year, and he wants a new one because he thinks he's underpaid, and Chris Boswell is basically the best damn kicker in the NFL, and he wants one. This has had people very divided. I see both sides. Where do you go on either Cam or Chris Boswell, or both wanting new contracts?
Well, I think the easiest one is Chris Boswell. I mean, it's no question that he's the best kicker in the league. It would be probably the one thing the Steelers could say that maybe even over TJ Watt, that, hey, at this position, we are better than anybody else without any question. He needs paid. And he actually, I was thinking they need to get this done anyway, so it's not an issue. So you got to pay Chris Boswell. He's the best kicker in the league. He's the most consistent kicker in the league. If anybody could hit a 65 or 70 yarder in a real game, it would be him. So yeah, sign him out. And that part's taken care of. And the funny thing with him is when you're saying both sides and both guys, it's funny because his is very different than Cam Heyward's. Like you said, Cam is a guy that just signed one 10 months ago, right? And I think a lot of people are a little put off by that. I put on Twitter earlier that he did a thing today where, and I don't think he meant, well, I don't know what he said to them, but he said in a press conference just about 2 hours ago, well, 3, he said he warned the team that if he got all pro, he'd be coming back to renegotiate. Well, that just never sits well with the fan base. When you're a professional athlete making the money that you are, and I know that's, I'm not trying to be a whiner or a crybaby, but you're being paid a hell of a lot of money, more than most people see in their lifetime, and you warning them, that whether it was a poor choice of words or whether you actually said that's not going to come off well. And it's weird, Joe, because I would argue that besides TJ, he's probably the most beloved Steeler, or the Steeler people like or gravitate towards most. And all of a sudden, this has gotten ugly. He's been sitting out. He's not playing. And one of the things people bring up, his playoff record as a Steeler is horrific. Under 9 games in which he has been the captain of the defense, they've been 1-8. They've allowed 38.8. Basically 40 points a game is what they're letting go. He has 1 sack and 17 tackles in that process. They're not good numbers, and that's really, really goes back to the whole foundation of Steeler Nation being a little impatient, pissy, whatever you want to say it is. We went some playoff wins, and he has not helped us to get there. However, when you look at him just this last year, when he's in the lineup, they are second in the NFL in run defense. They only allow 3.7 yards per game. When he's out of the lineup, they allow 5.1 yards per game, good for dead last. So he can point to that too. But, again, it's just he's an NFL Man of the Year. He's a Walter Payton Award winner. I mean, he has checked every box to be right in that realm of Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, Mean Joe, Big Ben, The guys are beloved in this town. Brett Kiesel, he's right in that echelon. So that's what makes it tough. It's not like he's a jerk, right? This wouldn't be like if Antonio Brown was negotiating or we were negotiating with a guy that's not well-liked. He's well-loved. On his end, though, Joe, which I don't think a lot of people see, is he has been going to every team meeting, every defensive game film that they've been going over. He has been there. He's been a leader off the field, too. So he is doing those things. He's not like totally shutting out. But then again, the big bomb he dropped today was, hey, I warned these guys. And B, he did say just this afternoon, I'm willing to sit out games this year until I get paid. So, yeah, again, if it wasn't Cam Heyward, it was somebody else. I don't know if it'd be as big of a deal, but it's Cam Heyward.
I'm torn. I see both sides, but the thing that bugs me is you just signed a deal. And if that's the case, where he was coming off a bad year because I believe he was hurt. So he was not in a position to really negotiate anything last year. So he signs this deal, which, I mean, okay, yeah, this is some pretty crappy numbers. He's basically making like almost 10.5 million. No, that was last year. He was making about 10.5 million last year. He's only making, or at least per the salary cap, about 6.5 million this year, and next year he's making about the same thing. So, okay, yeah, compared to other defensive linemen, that is pretty low. But my question is, then why did you sign the deal?
Right.
If it's so bad, sign a 1-year deal and say, you know what? Okay, I'm not in a good position right now. Let's sign the deal. Let's sign a 1-year deal, and then we'll revisit this next year, and we'll see how I do. Why are you? Because now it sounds like he's just a whiner that's just going to complain every minute. Like we just went through this a year ago, and now we're going through the exact same thing this year. Is this how it's going to be every 5 minutes? Every time somebody gets a contract, you're gonna whine about it. Another thing, he's what, 36?
Yep.
How many 36 years old are you even playing? Yes,
right.
He's still playing at a high level, and maybe he might still, based on his game being a power-based game, he could still, have a few good years. But what do you want? What do you want? A 10-year contract? 100-year contract? What do you want, dude? Like, I don't know. Just remember, the Steelers' policy is almost never to renegotiate a deal or to negotiate a deal when there's like a couple years left. They always do it when there's 1 year left on the contract. That's when we'll negotiate, because basically, let's say they tear up this contract and say, okay, Cam, you're right. You deserve more money. Let's tear up this contract and give it more money. Guess what? Every single player on that team is going to be like, screw, I don't like my contract. I want more money. You're going to create a freaking Pandora's box. It's probably a mess.
It's probably one of the few times where I didn't see most of Steeler Nation automatically go and say the Steelers are the bad guys. I think a lot of people are seeing it your way. And the other thing, too, is not only did they give him the contract and extend that contract, that's after he missed 7 games last year, right? Technically, it was 6, but he got hurt like in the second quarter. So to me, it's 7 games. So you missed 7 games, and they still had enough faith and confidence in you to extend you, give you what you're asking for. And like you said, you're 36. There's a better than average chance he's going to miss some time this year because he's 36. He's probably going to get injured. He's probably going to miss a game or two at least, unless he's not injured, whatever. I mean, it's if he was 26, this would be a totally different story, but he's 36. And it's just it's weird because I think a lot of people are taken aback by his, I don't want to say his aggressive nature on this, but he is being rather, out there with how he feels. And he's always been a nice, quiet guy, always bending backwards for the team. I mean, usually the Steelers have some kind of charity. He's one of the guys they have out there because he represents the team well. It's a little bizarre that this is happening in the way that it is. And like I said, I mean, there are some numbers that he can point to and say, hey, look at what I do. But there's a lot of numbers you can point to and say, yeah, buddy, but the impact's not there what you think it is. I mean, he's 20. The numbers you gave him, $6 million a year technically, that puts him 21st on defensive linemen. So maybe he's looking at that saying, well, I'm better than 21 other guys, or at least I'm better than 19 other guys. I don't know what his guys are saying is his team, but it's just off-putting a little bit to have this guy do this, and that's where we stand. Where Boswell, okay, I'm in the same bucket, but you haven't heard a peep out of him. Nothing, not a word. He just goes out there and does what he does, and I don't know. I think if you asked 25 Steeler fans, Joe, if you went out tonight, walked along Liberty Avenue and Boulevard of the Allies, and you said, who do you give money to right now? I think 24 of them are going to say Chris Boswell. I really do. And I think that a lot of people are going to point to what you said there. I think it was a good point, too, that you just signed an extension. Why would you sign if you didn't like it? And now you're bitching about it. And it's bad because it makes Cam not look good.
Exactly. It's a bad look.
Yeah. It's bad look.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
His career earnings are almost 132 million. So he could afford extra cheese on his Whopper. He's not hurting for money. I do find it funny when he said, yeah, I might miss games. If you miss games, you're going to get fined I think $1 million a game. So you want more money, you're going to lose more money if you do something like that. So I'm sure I'm guessing they're going to come to some kind of agreement, but like you said, it's a bad look. I'm already prepared if they do reach some kind of agreement with him to say 5 minutes after agreeing to a deal, Cam Heyward complains that he wants more money because he just looks like a whiner right now.
Yeah, and got a comment section here, at least on Facebook Live. John Stearns, hi John, how are you? Thanks for joining the show tonight. John, pipe in with everyone. If you have a comment or anything, feel free to join the conversation with us. But yeah, it's just, I guess it's tough because he's, of all the guys you don't want to have a bad look, it's Cam Heyward. I thought we were past this, Joe. I thought that would be the least of our concerns in camp, and here we are with, again, one of the most liked Steelers, not only on a team now, but really in the last 20 years.
We thought we would deal with a contract dispute all summer, but it would be TJ Watt. And that got resolved real quick. We thought, okay, fine, we're good now. And then this pops up. It's just,
well, I think you said last week too, even I can't believe you say it. I can't believe him saying this. Giving credit to Myles Garrett and the Browns. Myles Garrett, okay, he said what he said, but he said it at a time where they could both work at it, and it wasn't necessarily a huge distraction. And the Browns and Myles Garrett worked it out and got it done. And, at first, I think a lot of people didn't think that was going to happen. I think a lot of people thought Myles Garrett, gonzo. He's going to Detroit. He's going to San Francisco. He's gone. No, they worked it out. So kudos to the Browns and Myles Garrett. And now we're sitting here with this thing. And it kind of reminds me of Hines Ward. Kind of reminds me of Rod Woodson. And it's just like, man, I can't believe we're here with this guy. Because I know for sure, if they not traded, oh man, bad time for my part, the receiver to the Cowboys,
George Pickens.
Yeah, that would have gotten ugly quick. That would have been, and it would that you would expect that. You would expect that out of him, the immaturity and his ridiculous ways, not out of Cam, and here we are. So it's been unfortunate to see.
I think they'll do something. Maybe some. I don't know. I think they'll do something just to make him happy.
Yes, they will.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
The other thing that came out before the game was they asked Mike Tomlin, "Are you going to be one of those coaches that don't play their quarterback in the preseason?" He said, "Yeah, maybe we will," which is totally weird and has really never happened before, at least with the Steelers, that a quarterback does not play in the preseason. But here we are. We make fun of other teams like the Bengals when they don't play their players in the preseason, and now we have our starting quarterback not playing in the preseason. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think that came on the heels, too, of watching Anthony Richards get his pinky broke. Not only did he get broke, he got absolutely smashed on that hit. I mean, that was a huge hit. And you don't want to see Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to see Mason Rudolph take that kind of hit even. And now the Giants or the Colts are looking at like Danny Jones as possible starter quarterback. Good God. Like, I'm glad I'm not a Colts fan. But I mean, to go from, Peyton Manning, okay, Hall of Famer, first ballot, got him a Super Bowl, got him to, I think, then you go and get Andrew Luck, who was the next coming and looked like he was going to be the real deal. And then Andrew Luck had his issues. And now they're in this boat. So for the Colts, my God. But yeah, you got to wonder because, and that's the thing. And I guess maybe call me a pansy. I don't want to see any of these guys get hurt, but you've been seeing it this last week. There have been guys really hurt, pretty bad. It looks like the Eagles may have lost the guard for the year, and the Chargers lost the tackle. And it's like you can't really prevent that, Joe, but the one way you can prevent it is not to play him. Yeah. And I don't know. I wonder if Aaron Rodgers was 31 instead of 41. It might be a different story, but, yeah. He might not play.
Somebody proposed putting a red jersey on the quarterback like they do in practice and saying you're not allowed to hit him. Okay, it sounds ridiculous, but also it's actually not the worst idea ever.
Probably not. It's probably not, and I would not be surprised at all if that's what came to next year.
I mean, eventually we're going to have only 2 preseason games, and who knows what's going to happen then with people playing. There is a joint practice this Thursday. Tampa is coming here, and they're going to have a joint practice at Acrisure.
Yes.
And that kind of sounds like that's the way things are going to go. Is we'd rather have joint practices and have it in a more controlled environment than do a preseason game. And really what that hurts is the fans, because yes, those games suck, but still I went out Saturday night and, I went to a bar and watched the game. That would
didn't get hurt. Right. He didn't suffer a MCL tear or anything at the bar. Yeah. Joe's good. He's able to start next Saturday. No, I forget who it was. It was like a few years ago. He was the head of the players union. And he said, but we also need that time to prove ourselves. I don't think they necessarily want to see a reduction in it. But yet, we're already down to 3 games, and, we're going to set up for Tampa here on the show tonight and talk about that a little bit, talk about what happened in Jacksonville. But, it's getting to that point where I'll never forget this. We don't do a lot of fantasy talk on here, but I just was getting stuff ready for the fantasy league, my fantasy league, before our show here. And there's this buddy of mine, Patrick, and I'll never forget, he drafted Michael Vick, first round. And we were at the All-Star Bar and Grill in Robinson, my dear friend there just this past year. But we were there, and that's where Michael Vick got hurt in the preseason. The Falcons lost him for the entire year.
Oh,
and we're all looking at it because it was like, probably an hour later, and he goes, "You got to be kidding me." He goes, he looks at me because I'm the commissioner. He goes, "What do I do?" I'm like, "I don't know what I can't. What are you gonna do? I can't let you pick." We're 9 rounds in.
Yeah.
But I mean that's the kind of thing where you just don't want to see that guy. I think I saw a thing on Yahoo and ESPN where the average NFL draft or fantasy draft is like usually 3rd week or on, because people are so scared that if they drafted Aaron Rodgers or they drafted, whoever, he's going to get hurt. So, because we know darn well by the time we go to Carolina, it's going to be all the scrubs. Nobody's playing Carolina. So, I don't think you're going to see Aaron Rodgers play it down. He's put in his time, Joe. I think he knows what he's doing. And actually, one thing you could talk about right off the bat, Jacksonville was the pass protection within the offensive line was great on Saturday. The run protection was horrific, but the pass protection was.
Or maybe that was the running. Maybe that was the running back.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's a good one too. Which, might as well go there, I guess. But that's been brought up. been brought up because
let's talk about the game. I mean, it's everything. It's almost everything you want out of a preseason game. First off, nobody got hurt, thank goodness. But some of the players did look really good, and yeah, it was basically the starting offensive line that started the game with Mason Rudolph, and they looked really good. And yeah, you're right, the pass protection looked good. And you know who we've been harping on this for all year now, Broderick Jones. It all depends on him, and he actually looked good. So okay, that's a positive.
Yeah. They looked very good in pass protection. There was one, I don't know who took the shot, but the touchdown pass where Mason hit our boy that you called out on Twitter, when he hit Mount Washington for the touchdown, he had all day to find, like a 6'8" tight end. And if you give Aaron Rodgers that amount of time, he's going to kill you. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that they protected Skylar Thompson well, who went on to have a great night, 3 touchdowns. Almost 300 yards passing for Skylar Thompson, who may have just found a way to make this team. I don't know. He looked pretty good. So, so they look good in pass protection. Might as well stick with that too, because the run game was not great. And that's where, they actually, Johnson played a pretty good portion of that game, more than I thought he would. I really think the coaches wanted to see what he would do, how he would deliver. And it didn't look good. But then again, and I think you and I both were kind of making this comment, there was a couple times, there was 3 guys in the backfield before he even got back to the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. And it's eerily and scarily similar to Najee Harris.
Exactly.
And I don't know whether that the judgment there is you look like Najee because the line sucked, or you look like Najee because Najee kind of sucked. And this kid, he's coming off of a 21 touchdown season at Iowa and all Big Ten and all. He's a great back. He did look good catching the ball out of the backfield. He had 2 there again that looked good. And I don't know. I mean, a lot of the times, to be fair, when he didn't do well was with second string offensive linemen there. So I think what you're going to see, because I think this is where Mike T can be different than other coaches. I think he's going to want to see more. And I think you'll see a mix of him and Trevin Sermon again this coming Saturday against Tampa. I think you're going to see a good dose of our run game. I think they're starting to feel comfortable with what the passing game looks like, but I think you're going to see a good dose of the running game. What can we do? Because it's obvious the run game was not impressive at all.
One of the stories of this preseason and this training camp is how is Caleb Johnson going to handle being in the NFL? And so far the results have been mixed. We saw things like he got obliterated in backs on backers and, things like that. And there's times when he looked really good and explosive and stuff like that. And we just got to remember, these are rookies. This is what you expect from a rookie. They don't come in ready-made. You got to teach them these things, especially now. One thing I heard that was really interesting today, the running back position has been devalued because, one of the reasons is, well, why are we going to spend all this money on, right some running back, like right now, Buffalo's having a contract dispute with James Cook. It's like, he wants like $15 million a year. It's like, why are we spending money for you if we could just draft someone for peanuts and stuff? Well, okay. They drafted a lot of running backs this year, but they're not ready yet. And one of the biggest things you have to do in the NFL that you don't even do almost at all in college is you got to do pass protection. And that's something that they have to learn up here because they don't really do it in college. Another thing is they might not care about pass protection in college because NIL, and they're going from college to college every year. So they don't really about the intricacies of the game and the details and things like that. But basically, bottom line is he's a rookie and he's gonna have to learn, and he's not gonna be an all-pro day one.
Well, so a couple things on that. Now in college, they still use the fullback a little bit more than they do in the NFL. But to Caleb Johnson's credit, on Skylar Thompson's second touchdown pass, he threw a hell of a block.
He did.
Strong safety came in on a blitz on the inside. He picked that up very quickly, which is not, strong safety blitz is tough. A, they're faster than a linebacker, and B, if they get in there. Remember when Cowher used to send Cardinal Lake in on that, he was hard to stop. And usually there's a fullback to help. But he picked him up by himself, threw a hell of a block, and that was good. So I thought that was interesting. And you're right about the rookie running back. I mean, we all remember Barry Foster's rookie year. That was a disaster. I mean, people were like, oh, my God. Remember the kickoff where you just down? And so
Chuck Noll benched him the rest of the year because of that kickoff thing.
Pretty much. Rookie up and downs. And that's where I think you're still going to see Jaylen Warren. And actually, Sermon had a pretty decent game. He had a couple good blocks. That was the other thing. He threw some nice blocks, too. So, and I don't know what people are really expecting. I mean, hey, this isn't, 15 or 18 years ago where a guy like, would get 22 carries a game. You're right. Caleb Johnson, even if he becomes, head and tails above Najee Harris, he's probably going to get the ball 14 or 15 times a game at max, maybe a little bit more if it's really working. But, you're just not going to see that. It's 24 carries a game anymore, which is why the positions is devalued. So, we'll see how it goes. But I would say mixed reviews at best on him. I like the block. He did make Travis Hunter miss badly. There was a nice run that he had up the right side. Travis Hunter came in on all-world Travis Hunter, plays DB, plays wide receiver for the Jags, and he made him look foolish. So, I mean, that's good. Hey, good and bad. I mean, he didn't look terrible. He didn't look like a world beater. So, again, it's preseason, so to me, the jury's still out on him. I still have faith that he's going to be good.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And this is why there needs to be preseason games for things like this, for players like him to get the experience. Because when you're in training camp, you're just going against your own dudes. And don't you think if you're going against the same defense every day, they pick up on what the formations are and what the plays are and what's coming and things like that. So,
absolutely.
It's good to play other teams.
Yeah, you have to see them. You have to see blitz packages, stuff like that. Who also looked good. I thought I put a note. Peyton Wilson looked great.
Ooh, yeah.
He looked fantastic.
And he had the green dot.
Which is very interesting for him to have that. He looked really good. Sawyer looked good in his role, and I think it's making me realize that more and more why they went for Sawyer when they did in the draft. I really think they feel he's going to be a guy that's going to come in and make an impact here in one way or another. They have another good problem at linebacker right now. And, of course, our buddy Beanie Bishop, who led the team in tackles again. This is a guy that probably will not see a lot of time considering the people in front of him, although just this afternoon, Darius Slay did roll his ankle. So Darius Slay, most likely, you're not going to see him Saturday. So you're probably going to see a lot more Beanie Bishop again. And rumor is I'll have JPJ playing a little bit, so we'll see. But, Beanie Bishop, once again, if that's who you are, man, then you'll play your way on the team and be the guy they can rely on. So Beanie Bishop looked great again. Considering the company he keeps, he's probably not going to see a ton of action in the regular season, but who knows? Yeah.
The big thing is the Mason to Darnell Washington touchdown. God, it was a thing of beauty. And, Mason threw it where only a 6'7" guy could catch it. Crazy idea.
Yeah.
Let's just hope, and whatever higher power you believe in, let's just pray that they actually do something like this in the regular season and not forget that there's a massive human being that can just turn around and catch the ball and nobody can do anything about it.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing with him. We don't need him to have, 8 catches for 78 yards. If he has 4 catches and 2 of them are touchdowns and he has 15 total yards, great.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. And I do feel that as much as we're seeing him, I just think they can't ignore the talent anymore. If they are, they're foolish. He's almost reminds you of a guy like Antonio Gates, who was actually smaller quite a bit, but he had that athletic ability to go up and get a ball like nobody's business. And then, of course, he slams the goalpost and gets 15 yards. Like you're like he didn't like twist it into a pretzel, you know.
Right.
I mean, but yeah. So Darnell Washington looked great. Backup quarterbacks look good, which you do want that because honestly, to me, the quarterback play is already better than it was last year. Because our backup quarterbacks didn't look good last year. Mitch Trubisky did not look good. He's in Buffalo now doing nothing. That's his job. And, yeah. So, I mean, that looked pretty good. And, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, let's talk about
Oh, no.
First of all, Mason looked really good. And he is almost exactly what they need. And unfortunately, he's going to be playing at some point because we know Aaron Rodgers no quarterback, gets to play all 17 games. So Mason's going to be playing at some point. And yeah, he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's solid. And that's what we need. He's perfect for what they need.
Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get too much into. I guess with a 41-year-old starting quarterback, you do have to be in tune with who could possibly back him up because there's probably a better chance than most that he might see more time. And we know Aaron Rodgers last year, not bad, as far as games played. We know what happened the year before. So yeah, you do want to make sure that you have a quality backup in the NFL nowadays, and they definitely do. So that was not too bad at all. Mason looked good, 7 for 7 in the first drive. Good protection. The other person that had decent game, not necessarily blow up the stat sheet, was the tackle out of Iowa. Is it we keep forgetting Yaha Black. Y.A. Black. Y.A. Black. He was moving some bodies. And I kind of went back and looked. If you looked at Peyton Wilson's tackle, the one that got all the news, it was Black that blew up the tackle that got Peyton Wilson in there. And that's something they've been talking about is the penetration of this defensive line. Mm-hmm. He's looked good in camp. He did it again Saturday, like you said, against a team they hadn't seen. So against, offensive line that they hadn't seen. So I'm starting to have some high hopes for him. I mean, we've already talked. He's had like 6 batted down balls in 7-on-7 drills and on the 4-on-3. So he's looked exceedingly well and a lot of hope for him. And I think you might see a very young defensive line with Derek Harmon and him on that line. Of course, Cam Heyward, if he plays, he's going to screw that age gap
right
all to hell because he's almost 40. But yeah, and that's the thing where you get into like, can they keep Skylar Thompson? It's not just so much the quarterback room, because the Browns are talking right now like they're going to carry 4 or 5 quarterbacks, which just blows my mind. But at this point, I think with the wide receivers still being somewhat of an issue, they're going to probably have to carry 5 or 6 receivers. They're definitely going to carry as many offensive linemen as they can, and they're probably going to carry a decent amount of these rooks on defensive line. So Skylar Thompson may unfortunately just be a victim of, other positions, being needed to have depth, where he sure as hell played good enough to make the team, if you ask me. But, he just may be a victim of some of these other guys.
Yeah, as soon as Skylar Thompson was having that good game, people said, well, now the Steelers can trade him for a draft pick. And I acted like a kid that just got a puppy and said, can we keep him, please? Can we keep him, please? But if, God forbid, something happens to Aaron Rodgers, he carries the flag and then gets an Achilles injury 5 minutes later or something like that, then Mason is your guy for the season. And then who's Mason's backup? Will Howard? Sorry, the dude's not ready yet, especially now that he got hurt. You're going to need, you're in this day and age, you need 3 fairly good quarterbacks. And yeah, it would be weird and dumb to keep all 4 on the roster, especially with, this seems like a deep team, and I think they're going to have to make some tough decisions on cuts. But Well, Howard is hurt now. He has a whatever finger he has hurt or something like that. Why not put him on injured reserve or something like that? It's not like you're going to use him this year. I don't know.
Right.
You know?
I don't know. That's right. No, if there's a guy that you want to feel bad for, it's him, because these are the type of games. If Aaron Rodgers is not going to play this preseason, which again I most likely don't think he will, he is a guy that would have had a lot of playing time to prove himself. And up until when he broke his finger on the last play of a quarterback center exchange of all things of the day, they were going to eat dinner. Like, that was the last play. To do that of all things at that time. And now, you get no playing time because he was pushing Mason Rudolph. Yeah. He was pushing him. Again, he was a guy, like I said, people chanting his name, and they always pick the darling, upset guy, and we can go down the list of those guys over the years of Steeler training camp. Amos Zaraway comes to mind. I remember people chanting in the stands, "Which way? Zaraway!" And, they're like, Amos Zaraway is the next, Tony Dorsett. But I think he was catching on, and I think that I think Sawyer and Black are catching on with fans too. So Skylar, all Skylar Thompson can do is keep playing the way he plays and make it so hard for the Steelers to say, we can't keep you. But I think you're right. They're going to take a long look at Heyward like they did last year with Roman Wilson and say, okay, we're just going to throw him on medical IR, or what are we going to do? Speaking of guys that had good games, Roman Wilson, not a bad game. Looked good. Ran some tough routes. They put him in the slot, and then he put him in wide receiver 3, which means he's coming across the field and out. So he wasn't running hardly any straight patterns. He was running complex cross patterns and, in and outs and stuff like that you might see a third tight end run. And he ran them very well. He ran the route well, caught the ball well. He's the guy that my media friends have told me he's been the one guy, along with Y.A. Black and Sawyer. They're like the last 3 guys to leave the field every night. Roman Wilson's like, get the ball. No, get the ball. Launch your back up. And he's out there. In fact, the one night, I think it was the night before the Latrobe Friday night under the lights game, Metcalf and a couple of receivers came back out and kept practicing with them because he was out there. So Roman Wilson figures he has a lot to prove, and it's been nice to see that in some of these rookies. And that's the thing too, Joe. You go back. I was just looking at some of the draft classes when you're. I spent 5 hours on a blood transfusion today in the hospital, and I was looking back at some of our draft classes. You realize there's nobody left on the roster from 2018's draft. So that's what you do when you have chemo and you're going through this stuff. You have time to kind of look through a lot of stuff. And I'm like, there's not a player left on the roster from a draft that was only a few years ago. I'm sorry, not 20. It was 2020. Like, holy crap. And so that's why when you see some of these guys like Y.A. Black and Sawyer and Harmon, and Harmon's already put himself in a position, Joe, where it's not because he was a first-round pick. His talent is undeniable. He didn't come in. He didn't slack. He came in and he's, ready to go, and he's working harder. And these rookies are, staying longer. They're putting in the effort, and, they're doing it. So the Steelers all of a sudden have I think if you want to say there's one thing different about this Steelers team in the last 2 years, I think provided Cam Heyward gets things worked out, I think the cancer's in that locker room, all the bad taste, the bad vibes, it's gone. And that's something that, you can say whatever you want about team chemistry, performance on the field versus performance off the field. That's a big factor. And it's still working. And again, that's one thing I'll say again that got Cam Heyward. Because I think, I think some of the guys have had enough about some of the criticism he's been slung his way, and rightfully so. But in all the team films these last couple weeks, he's been at every team film review. He's been at every defensive team meeting. He hasn't gone home. He hasn't asked for the luxury suite at St. Vincent College. He has still done what he's doing, and that's keeping that chemistry going. He may be holding out, but at least he's still spending time with the young guys on the team.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing Aaron Rodgers said about Roman Wilson was really interesting. He basically said the kid has talent. You could see that he has talent. It's just he got to get his head right. And I'm sorry, but last year was just a lost season. And he was a rookie last season. Basically, he's a rookie this season too. Yes, he has a year of, knowledge and under his belt, but still he needs to apply it, and he just needs to, and it's just a matter of practice. It's just a matter of doing it. So these preseason games, stuff like that, it's going to be very valuable for him. And he did look good on Saturday. So good for him. I hope it.
I think they're going to want to see him. I think because of where they lined him up, I think you'll see him lined up outside this week. I think they're just going to want to try and see what he can do, straight down the field. So I think he's going to be another guy you're going to see a lot of. Nice tie fighter. I think he's yeah. My son would like that. I think that's something you're going to look for on Saturday. And really, it's interesting because you don't think about it. Like you're saying, we're halfway, not quite, but getting halfway through August almost. We were talking about that before we went on air. And this Saturday against Tampa is really going to be the last chance for some of the guys that would be starters to probably get out there and play a little bit and get a little bit of time. Because like we said, nobody that's a significant starter or is going to play significant time is really going to play against Carolina. That's just going to be a big, sellout crowd, which it always is of Steeler fans. And
I'll be there.
Are you? You going?
Yep, I'm going. Okay.
That's awesome. I have never gone there for the preseason game, but it's a beautiful stadium. It's a great setting. The parking lot's massive. It's kind of funny. You're like, wow, like really they need a parking lot this big down there, but it's huge. Y'all have fun there. You'll be with 40,000 Steeler fans, all transients to North Carolina and South Carolina from Pennsylvania, and try to escape the roads and the taxes.
Well, this is the home game.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is the home. Yeah, no, I'm not going to Carolina.
I'm talking about Carolina.
The Carolina, the annual Carolina game.
Yeah. Which again, what I'm saying there is that's going to be your third stringers and second stringers again. But this Saturday is going to be probably one of the last games that they want to see, some of these guys get a lot of playing time. So it's going to be a good game to go to on Saturday. That if you're going to go. Yeah.
I'm going to this Saturday's game. But, the other significant thing that happened was a dude kicked a 70-yard field goal. 70 yards. Listen, there are people saying, well, that's not official because it's preseason. I think it should count.
Oh, well, they won't ever do that. I think it would be cool to make it count too, but that guy had a great year last year, largely because the Jags offense was so horrid. Trevor Lawrence has had a horrible year last year, quarterback for the Jaguars. And so he actually, I was talking about fantasy earlier, the guy that won the fantasy league championship had him as his kicker. And he actually ended up winning him some games last year. Not that I give a lot of points on kicking, but he was a great, consistent kicker last year. And he lined up for that. And, I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, how many times have you gotten to your seats early and seen these guys, kicking these 65 to 70-yard field goals in practice? And you're like, man, I'm not sure why we haven't seen that in a game yet. And there you go. Because I think the Ravens kicker has the record at 66, right? Yeah. And I think it was McManus from Denver's like right there at 64, something like that, or 65, but or when he was with Denver. But Joe, I think you're actually probably going to see that sooner than later. I think a 70-yard field goal is probably not out of the question.
Well, it is funny because, like he said on Twitter, that kicker said, well, don't worry, I'll do it in the regular season too. But to me, that's a little scary because
if you miss
kickers, well, first of all, if you miss, you're screwed because you'd have to, you set it on like your own 45.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so basically You're basically giving the other team points if you miss that. But if kicking gets better and better, and they're making longer and longer kicks, I don't think that's good for the game. I mean, if all you have to do is get the midfield and you're getting points, I don't know. It just can become a field goal kicking contest, and I think they would do something about that. I think they would make it harder to kick field goals or move the post back or something. I don't know.
Well, this is the third year in a row we've seen a kicker drafted in the 5th round or higher. And including that kid from the Jaguars who's drafted in the 5th round. The Ravens drafted a kid this year in the 5th round. And so, yeah, you're not wrong. And especially if I'm the Falcons or Dallas or somebody that's kicking indoors, you're right. I'm sure as hell thinking, well, I'll consider a kicker or drafting a kicker if I'm kicking indoors. And especially you look like the AFC South, I think, in the AFC South, I think Tennessee's the only team that plays outdoors, unlike AFC North. Well, as long as the Browns don't do something stupid and make that. Although I think they are their new stadium is going to be a roof, which is just
ridiculous. It's sad.
No, and I again, not that we had this on our topic to talk about, but please stop with the. Well, they should move Acrisure Stadium. The best one was the Century 3 Mall. Are you out of your mind driving down Route 51?
Have you ever been on Route 51? It is the
51?
worst road in America, people.
It's the worst road. I mean, I used to cover a store down there thinking an hour and a half to get to the store from like Pittsburgh. I mean, could you imagine 60,000 users and non-users trying to get the...
They would need blimps. They would need like a bunch of blimps to take, because
like
there's no way you could go on that road.
Yeah, take the number 2 Zeppelin up the. And it's the same thing. If there was, I think, somewhat serious consideration of them putting it somewhere up in Cranberry. Could you imagine Heinz Field being up in Cranberry? Could you imagine the 279-79 split? People, I mean,
yeah.
If you are an NFL city and you want an NFL franchise, you need to keep it as close to the city as possible. I know San Francisco went way out the heck.
Right.
I mean, it's like an hour from downtown.
New England is like 30 miles away from Boston.
Yes,
it's
not Foxborough is the same thing, and it's like if you have the ability to have it in the city, Boston's so old. I'm not sure they have. I don't know if they can.
Where they're going to put it? Yeah,
right. Even in New York, it's technically in New Jersey. So, but yeah, I stop with that talk. If you're going to redesign Acrisure, Heinz Field, just keep it there or something. I don't know. Turn it around.
It's such a beautiful thing right in the city.
Mm-hmm.
You look and you can see the skyline and stuff like that. It's such a big part of it. Don't.
Plus, you have all the stuff there for Pitt and stuff too. So it's like, yeah, no, I mean, yeah. Just stop that nonsense now. Stop the nonsense. But
yeah,
I laughed out so hard when I said, "Oh my God, Century 3 Mall." Jeez,
they should call it. If they did do it, they should call it Century 3 Stadium.
Century 3 Chevrolet. Could you imagine
it's from the stadium?
Yeah,
yeah.
Just minutes from the mall. Yeah. Oh God.
But. This is weird. So Tampa is coming up for a joint practice on Saturday. Thursday, and then they're going to play on Saturday. I believe Buffalo did this last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it was Buffalo did this last year, and the Steelers look like absolute crap in the preseason game. And can you blame them? They're basically playing the equivalent of a game on Thursday. Then 2 days later, they're turning around and playing a game.
Well, was it? I can't remember. Was it the Buffalo game? Oh, no, it wasn't last year. What was the game like 2 years ago where Kenny Pickett looked like Dan Marino and Joe Montana and John Elway all in one, and then
touchdown drive every single time? He looked
7
awesome.
for 7. Like I think they scored 48 points or whatever. I mean, and it didn't turn out that well. Obviously, since he's now in his third team. But no, I don't know. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago too. Like, remember the Steelers they'd go to Carlisle and play the Redskins, and then they'd play the Redskins later in that week. So I don't know if it's too strange as far as history goes, but yeah, and I think it was last year with the Lions and somebody got in like a major fight at their joint practice, and then like half those guys, they had to make them sit out Saturday night because the blood was still boiling. I'm pretty sure it was like Detroit and Cleveland or something like that. But no, but Joe, this is the way, and you said it before really well. This is the way it is now. You only have 3 preseason games. And let's be honest, probably 2 of the 3 where you're going to get some of your starters in for a minimum amount of time. And that's it. So these joint practices are becoming more and more popular because that's what you need to get. Like you said, you can only play the Steelers offense, can only play the defense so many times. And, you need to get out there and play these teams. So I think they're using these joint practices to do that. So.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. And I wonder, I mean, we know Aaron Rodgers won't be playing, but I wonder how much the other starters will be playing. Because like you said, third game is for all the not even the backups of the backups of the backups will be playing those games. So I wonder if this is going to be I wonder if this is going to be more of the ones playing.
I think you'll see Mason Rudolph at least most of the first quarter, if not some of the second. Then I think you're going to see Skylar Thompson for probably the rest of the second and all of the third. And then you may have, it would have been a little bit more interesting, even just the dynamic of it. If Howard didn't get hurt, then we could see, they may have gotten a quarter each, first, second, third, fourth,
right,
whatever. But I think that's what you're going to see because now again, I don't think it's being scared or timid, but they know they have a 41-year-old starting quarterback. So I think they're actually going to be a little protective of how much time even Mason Rudolph plays, right? So I think you'll see him play at least the first quarter, maybe done after that, or it might bleed a little bit into the second.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. August is rolling along, and we got this game. We got a game in the week, and then here comes the regular season. So,
well, one thing I'll give a shout out. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, just one thing. You see us wearing a Steeler logo, and I think one thing that's unique about the Steelers, as opposed to a lot of NFL teams, is it is rooted in its history. So today, what happened at the Clareton Works? They had a horrible plant explosion. My sister-in-law actually works for U.S. Steel. She was just in that plant last week touring it.
Wow.
Just to have that explosion, have somebody killed. I'm a steel worker. I used to be a steel worker. I helped put myself through college by working at a steel mill. And, there were dangers there. And it was, pretty in your face, like, hey, this could happen if you don't do this. And it's a dangerous place to work. And for all these years, men and women have gone in there doing their job and giving our city really an identity. And the Clareton Works is one of the few true steel mills left in this part of the country, if not the entire country. They run natural gas there, which is when Nippon Steel bought that. That was interesting to them because Japan has no natural gas. So, but to see that on the news today, it's been on national news. So my prayers go out to them and their families, especially, one person died. They haven't found the other yet, and 12 are in the hospital. And it's a horrible thing to see, but that's a big part of what we do and why we do these things, these podcasts and stuff like that. If it wasn't for, true blue steel industry, I'm not even sure we'd be doing this today. So
it's literally the name of the team. It is our roots, and it was such a big thing in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and then kind of went down a little bit in the 80s and stuff, but still it's Clareton. It's still running.
Clareton, that town is a fantastic town. I just did a lot of work with them this past year. In about 2 weeks, Clareton will, kick off a new season. They have a brand new stadium that we helped to light. It's got brand new lights, a brand new field. It's a beautiful field. It's got the Clareton Bears logo with like the paw coming through. It's just badass. It looks great. That's a community so proud of its history. You're talking about a class that's going to graduate 68 students, and 30 of them play football. It's like, and it's a great community. They're a true blue collar community. So, there's a good chance that somebody playing in that high school team, they might have been one of their parents today. So our hearts and prayers go out to them. And I wonder, Joe, I'd be very interested, and you'll have to report back since you're going to be going. I almost guarantee you they'll have a moment of silence at the beginning of the beginning of the game on Saturday. So you'll have to report out on that one, Joe, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah, such a tragedy. I've only been in a steel plant a couple times, but it is such a dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, you're walking by and there's things on fire near you, just falling near you and stuff, and the 1,000-degree things just falling and stuff.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just,
Well, here's funny thing. Irony. My mom is, I can see on Facebook Live, my mom's watching along with us. So hello, Mom. And I used to have, you were so covered in soot, and she'll laugh about this. So like first time I worked there, like the first week or two, I'm coming home, and you go through 2 pairs or 3 pairs of jeans a summer working there, and you start putting that stuff in the washing machine. You'd be like, oh my God, get that crap out of my washing machine.
There's kill a washing machine.
Yeah, there's a laundry mat right up the road. So
you go kill those machines. Don't kill my machine.
So my mom would be like, hey, you go take that crap. You go put that, not my good ones. That's my Maytag. Don't put that in the Maytag. And, up the street you went to do your grungy jeans and the flannel shirts we used to wear. And they called them green shirts that were actually able to protect them against the furnace. But yeah, I mean, I was just talking to my wife when we were eating dinner earlier and remembering about that kind of thing. But yeah, once a steel worker, always a steel worker, and Steeler fans, I'm sure Steeler Nation and definitely Joe and I are behind you and thinking you guys.
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers go out to them. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for the comments, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. See you, Joe.